Unlike her song that will forever have our throats aching every time we attempt to belt out its chorus, Keyshia may not have known what she was missing, but we did, sis. A backbone. Everyone's favorite gap-toothed R&B diva has gone through a mountain of trials and tribulations. From her adoptive woes to her mother's drug addiction, it appears as though Keyshia's love life above all else has fallen in line with her troublesome past. With the situationships rotating more than a rotisserie chicken, they've led to Keyshia's involvement in some of the most questionable scenarios. Lying about proposals, beating up mistresses, and even wrecking cars, and not in a way you may think. Let's take a peek inside Keyshia Cole's tragic love life. Can't say she never warned you. Keyshia's ballads of hits, often drenched in hopeless heartbreaks and yearning for affection, is the epitome of art imitating life. While y'all was shouting, "I was sad and lonely" from the mountaintops, Keyshia was sitting in the booth wondering why her fifth man of the month had her on the block list. She wasn't new to this, but she was true to this. Sad and Lonely wasn't just a verse, but a biography. We've seen Keyshia go through her fair share of relationships and be publicly humiliated more times than we can count. Remember the Antonio Brown situation? Spinning a bunch of chaos and love triangles in the midst involving Ashanti back in 2005, when the two were both romantically linked to producer Chink Santana. Ironic cause a whole decade later, Ashanti and Keyshia collaborated on the track Woman to Woman, which seemingly confirmed the rumors. In a turn of events, the song allegedly also led to Ashanti and Nelly split, whom she had been linked to at the time. The following year, Keyshia and a special bald-headed someone were being held the king and queen of Atlanta. Hold up, Jeezy and Keyshia used to date? A question you're most likely going to be asking all throughout this video. Yes, Jeezy and Keyshia used to be a thing. In fact, the two were so head over heels for each other that Keyshia Cole was almost Keisha Jenkins. Jeezy was obsessed with old girl, brought a ring and was desperate to marry Keyshia at any given day, but unfortunately, she just wasn't ready to commit or submit to that level at that specific time in her life. Except none of that was actually true. And not only was Jeezy never planning on marrying Keyshia, dude wasn't even all that serious about their relationship. Now wait a minute. Mr. Jenkins had a whole nother recollection of events and said it wasn't he who planned on marrying Keyshia, but that it was Keyshia who planned on marrying him. According to Jeezy, it was Keyshia who had bought a ring and asked him to marry her. He told her straight up whatever she thought they were wasn't it. Jeezy told us if we were to ask Keyshia, she wouldn't tell us any different, except she has told us different. Way different. Perhaps Keyshia would get her fairy tale wedding after she moved on to former pro basketball player Daniel Gibson, who not only popped the big question, but had Keyshia popping out her first baby. The two married a little over a year after welcoming Daniel Jr. into the world, and just a few months later went out of their way to renew their vows. Well, it seemed as though for richer or for poorer, for better or for worse, went in one ear and out the other, cause the two separated just 2 years later before finalizing their divorce in 2017 due to irreconcilable differences. The route to romantical contractual departure wasn't an easy one by any means, more specifically on Gibson's end. The divorce was dragged out for years against Keyshia's pleas to finalize it. So much so that the judge had to send Daniel 4 warnings and threaten a fine just to get him to show up for court. Despite Daniel's hesitancy to say farewell to being Keyshia Cole's husband, the two would eventually appear on season 4 of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood together to promote Keyshia's upcoming album, and dropped a few bombshells that, well, no one was all that surprised to hear. Apparently, a huge reason for the divorce had to do with Daniel's infidelity. Alexa, play I Should Have Cheated. One of her most arguably controversial relationship situationships came in 2014 when Keyshia was linked to Cash Money CEO Birdman. 2014, also known as the start of Instagram's golden era and the start of Keyshia's cryptic post confiding her love for whichever mystery man of the month or year. Although reports about their connection were buzzing, it wouldn't be solidified until Keyshia took to her personal IG page to upload a rather interesting video of herself on top of a piano, giving us every bit of struggle lap dance tease, while two accompanying males served as impromptu backup dancers. Perhaps teasing an upcoming single, which was fine in the grand scheme of things, but Keyshia decided to stir the pot once she boldly tagged Birdman on the post. Needless to say, fans were not feeling the uncomfortable, seductive video. Matter of fact, not only were they not feeling it, they were laughing at the public display of headassery. Granted, no one knew the depths of their relationship. Keyshia took her new man rather seriously. He, on the other hand, not so much. Keyshia was willing to do everything she could to keep her newfound union intact, even if that meant pulling up to Bird's house unannounced and swinging on every chick in attendance. Once Keyshia spotted an unknown woman at Birdman's residence, Keyshia confronted him, had flashbacks to her ex-husband cheating, and decided to attack his guest. Once Birdman got Keyshia to unhand the mystery lady, he got her to leave, and that was the end of their little fling. Not only was the relationship over, but Keyshia had been arrested and was now being sued by the woman she had beat up for $100,000. The suit claimed that the victim was scratched, had her hair yanked, and that Keyshia had punched her square in the face. The assailee ended up winning the $100K, and Keyshia would end up losing money and being single. An example of the industry rotating the same 5 people. Rumors of Bow Wow and Keyshia's romance went flying after Bow posted and quickly deleted a picture of what appeared to be him and Keyshia in bed together. Of course, this sent the social media detectives in a frenzy, which didn't take much considering that Bow Wow eventually came out and confirmed that he and Keyshia were in fact dating. Finally, Keyshia met someone who partook in headassery as much as she did, the fans thought, but not too fast. The two would eventually call it quits, but not before Keyshia decided to spin the block one last time and deem it open season on Bow Wow's property. An ambush drive-by left what was supposed to have been his whip covered in eggs? To make matters worse, it had been Bow Wow's friend whose car had been the unintended target of destruction. Bow suspects Keyshia had been behind the madness, but she insists that she played no part in the destructive food attack. She'd be briefly tied to Floyd Mayweather for a bit, making headlines after being snapped at a party together. 'Cause you know, taking a photo with the opposite gender means you two go together. When asked about the potential romance, Floyd stated that he had much love for Keyshia, but didn't outright confirm nor deny the rumors. Surprisingly, Keyshia would take the initiative on Hot 97's radio station, letting the public know that she and Floyd were not compatible by any means. You know, I'd never survive in that equation. I might as well stay with my husband. That makes no sense. Woo, the shade of it all. Even though I love Super Floyd, that's going to be my friend to the end. I really do have a vibe with Floyd. I love him and he's been very supportive, just even giving me inspiration and words of encouragement. Being in a relationship with Floyd, I would be totally hurt, in shambles. I'm not that type of girl to be able to deal with that kind of stuff, and I don't think money would make that any better. Wedding bells were bound to ring yet again after Keyshia finally found her one true pairing. So she thought. Independent recording artist Niko Khale and Keyshia went public with their relationship early of 2018. And although a wedding never did ensue, another baby did in the following year. Unfortunately, the baby couldn't hold the parents together, and breakup rumors had come about just a few months later after fans noticed Keyshia had removed all traces of Niko on her social media pages. Niko would eventually confirm the breakup by responding to a comment. "My heart is broken, my mind is open, my time's approaching." The two would go on to unfollow each other on the gram, and the reason behind the departure remains unknown. Perhaps Niko wanted someone closer in age? Did I mention that Keyshia is 14 years his senior? After that breakup, the two had both quickly moved on, and Keyshia's cryptic post would start up yet again. This time on her IG story, where she posted a boomerang of her hickey-covered neck along with some song lyrics. Before you ask, yeah, she was ridiculed for the post. Fans ended up finding the mystery man's identity, unsurprised by literally any of us, and supposedly it was a man named Zay on IG. Also unsurprised by all of this, that situation didn't last very long. Incoming, the Antonio Brown situation. I'll give you a minute to grab your popcorn, cause boy, was this a SHIT show. NFL player Antonio has been in the headlines quite a lot for his string of highly questionable antics and comments, and this is no different. After posting a video on his IG account of what appeared to be a woman swaying about with the initials AB tatted on her lower back region, with a caption that read, "You ain't pimpin' till you hit an R&B diva." Didn't take much for people to figure out who exactly the woman in the video was, since Keyshia herself took to his comments, outing herself in the process by writing, "This the second time you posted this, AB, but the captions changed. Don't be mad at me no more, babe. I said I apologize." According to Antonio, who was pursuing his rap career during this time, Keyshia caught wind of his musical attempt and reached out to him to collaborate on a track, and we guess one thing led to another. Taking to her IG Live, Keyshia admitted that Brown's caption was a little harsh, but went on to excuse the behavior by letting it be known that Brown had asked her if she wanted him to change the caption, with Keyshia supposedly telling him that the caption was just fine. After a while, Antonio got fed up and declared that, "We don't want you, Keyshia." Hopping on his live, Antonio made it clear that he was a player and never viewed Keyshia in that light after she was persistent and publicly declaring her love for him with messages such as missing him a lot. He also insisted that Keyshia was a clout chaser and perhaps he should make like her music and let it go. The fans were left shaking their heads, pleading with her not to tolerate such outright disrespect. It took some time, but Miss Cole finally got the message loud and clear. Well, maybe not as clearly as her fans would have liked. Hopping on live yet again, Keyshia confirmed that the relationship was a done deal and was open enough to admit that maybe she has a hard time grasping blatant disrespect from men, going on to say that she has a tendency to heal others and wanted to be a helping hand to Antonio. Girl, we get that, but that doesn't mean you need to date every unhealed man you come across. Posting a post and delete to her stories that read, "Yeah, I was big tripping. I have a 12-year-old. Like, that type of disrespect for what? Nothing is worth that level of disrespect, especially when you don't deserve it. Had so much love, respect, and admiration for you. Guess that wasn't mutual either. She can see clearly now the dust is gone. Won't he do it?" Keyshia hasn't gotten into any relationships as of recent, as far as we know. And although she may not have chosen from the best batch of men in the past, it seems as though she's finally realizing her worth. Will it last? Let us know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. And stay tuned for more true celebrity stories.